Hey, you're watching MTGs. I'm Matt, and today I have a cool little video for you guys. We're going to be building a commander deck from start to finish, right here on camera. I have done no planning. I just have, an idea for a deck. Nothing crazy. We're just doing angels, mono white angels. Our commander today is going to be Bruna, the Fading Light. But here's the cool thing, we're going to have a secret commander, if you see where I'm going with this. Bruna melds with Gisela, the Broken Blade. So we're going to have a secret commander in the deck, and then when they meld together, we're going to get Gisela, Voice of Nightmares. So that's going to be our true commander. So I've got all my cards here. Like I said, I haven't done any planning. We're just going to figure it out together. So let's do this. So we have our commander here, Bruna the Fading Light, which is a 7 cost. She's 5 and white for a 5/7 flying vigilance angel horror. When you cast Bruna the Fading Light, you may return target angel or human creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. So what you would do there is, if Gisela is on the field or if she's in the graveyard, you play Bruna, and then at the beginning of the end step, they'll meld. Gisela is 2 white for 4/3 flying first strike lifelink angel horror, and she says at the beginning of your end step, if you both own and control Gisela and Bruna, you exile them, meld them into Gisela, Voice of Nightmares, and that is this card here. And Gisela, Voice of Nightmares, is a 9/7 Eldrazi angel with flying first strike vigilance and lifelink, and the ability, your opponents can't cast spells with converted mana cost 3 or less. So it's big, it's vigilant, it's flying, so it's got that evasion, it's first strike, so it's hard to take down in combat, it's lifelink, so it'll stabilize you, and then the ability to prevent opponents from casting CMC 3 spells or less is just oppressive. That'll shut off a lot of cards and make it harder to remove Gisela from the board. So we're gonna sort of lean into that, but also it's just gonna be like white good stuff. It'll be fun kind of figuring it out as we go along. For sleeves, we're just gonna do these silver dragon shield gloss sleeves, and for the deck box, I have this ultimate guard wide flip, which I really like these. They're secure, they're space effective, really good deck boxes. So we're gonna use this for our deck box. So let's just get the lands out of the way first, because there's not too much to say about that. We're in mono white, so we don't need any kind of color fixing. It's gonna be mostly plains, and then a couple of utility lands. So what we have here is just, I have Kabira Crossroads, enters tapped, but when it does, you gain 2 life, makes white. That's fine. There might be a life gain sub-theme, so may as well throw that in there. We're going to find a place to play a tapped land. We have Seraph Sanctuary, which when it enters, you gain 1 life, and when an angel enters the battlefield under your control, you gain 1 life, and it's tapped or colorless. We're going to have plenty of angels, so a little bit of life gain couldn't hurt. Very nice. Castle Arden Vale. Other than that, we're just going to do plains. 36 basic plains. This is a fine start. I don't really have that much in the way of utility lands, mostly because I just made an Eldrazi deck, and a lot of the utility lands that I had went into there. So for now, we just have these 3 and 36 basics. For 39 lands, I usually like to start at 38 and go up or down from there for various reasons. So I'm going 1 higher just because we're in mono white, so we're not going to have that much in the way of ramp. So I'd really like to hit all my land drops. I might even go to 40 lands, but let's see how 39 does, and then I'll test it out and stuff, and hopefully we can get enough ramp that's fine. 39 lands, 1 commander. Oh, wrong commander. 39 lands, 1 commander. So that gives us 60 spells. So let's see how we're going to figure out those slots. So I like to start off when I'm building a deck. A lot of times once I have my idea, my commander, I'll start putting aside cards that I think would be useful, and then I pare that down after the fact. I have here, this box is just rares and such. So we're going to just flip through here, and I'm going to pull out things that are relevant. And Since we're in mono white, the job is kind of made easier for us because we don't have to even consider anything that's not white or an artifact. Ooh, Sigil of New Dawn. Returns creatures if they die. That's good. Tragic Arrogance. And I usually like to sort this box by color, so I'm going to have to do that in the future. Okay, so yeah, we're getting into some good stuff. So I recently took apart a Kalia deck, and 1/3 of it was angels because she cares about angels, demons, and dragons. So a lot of that stuff is going to go into this deck now. So I've got Amiria Shepherd, which has landfall. When a land enters the battlefield under your control, you may return non-land permanent card from your graveyard to your hand. If that land is a plains, you may return the non-land permanent to the battlefield instead. Amazing, really good for this deck because I have 2 parts to my combo that I want to get together. So if one dies, she can bring it back. Martial's Anthem, similar sort of thing, can bring back creatures when it's kicked. And other than that, it's just an anthem. Resolute Archangel. Aegis Angel protects our commander. Bounty Agent, this is just amazing in Commander in general. For 2 mana, you get a creature that you can tap and sacrifice to destroy a legendary permanent that's an artifact, creature, or enchantment. So, really good political tool, and prevents people from attacking you. Just kind of threaten them with this. I've seen this card do some great things. Blind Obedience, we're going to include to slow down our opponents and get some of that life gain through Extort. And you can include this in a mono white deck because Extort, the hybrid Orzhov symbol, actually isn't contributing to the card's color identity. Bygone Bishop, great for keeping card drop. Oh, I have another one of these. Huh. And another Bounty Agent. Evra, do we want Evra? We'll put her aside. Really, I'm just making a pile right now. And we'll see what we take out after the fact. Thalia's Lancers, I did see this before. This is awesome. When in ETBs, you search for a legendary card, put it in your hand. So we can use this to search out Gisela to get our combo together that much faster. 5 mana, but, we're not going to be casting Bruna until 7 mana anyway, so it's just nice to get that all together. Cast this turn 5, cast Gisela turn 6, cast Bruna turn 7, 1, 2, 3. Oh, Soul Ring is a must. Okay, so that's it for my rares. Okay. So this is just like staple like cards, just general good things. Briber's Purse I like for the slowdown. Can't do any of this stuff. I have a soft spot in my heart for equipment, so we're gonna grab a lot of equipment. Okay, Graceful Reprieve. This is excellent. When target creature dies this turn, return that card to the battlefield under its owner's control. Soultire Visionary, this card's amazing. This is an overperformer in this format, I think. For 3 mana, you get a shadow creature, which means it can't be blocked except by creatures with shadow. Basically, I turn the down to a player, destroy it, and enchantment that player controls. So just once per turn, Bridemate, because we're probably going to do life gain. I don't know if we're doing enchantments, but you know what? We'll put her aside. And same thing with the Johnny's Chosen, if we happen to do enchantments. I don't know if we're doing it. Well, we might do some equipment, so I'm just going to put him aside. And we're going to put him aside. I like these totem armor auras. Good for your commander if you're going to be doing Voltron stuff. So this gives my creature +1/+1 in first strike. And totem armor, which means that if a creature would be destroyed, you instead destroy the aura. So it's like a layer of protection. Creatures you control at first strike, yeah, let's put that aside. Indestructibility, yeah. Lone Rider, this card is cool. So for 2 mana, you get a first strike lifelink human knight, 1/1. But at the beginning of your end step, if you gain 3 or more life in that turn, you transform him. He turns into it that rides as 1, and it's a first strike, trample, lifelink, 4/4. So it can do quite a bit of work. Throw this down turn 2, and then just later on it'll transform. It's so innocuous, but it can actually do some good work. And if we're doing equipment in this deck, then we could just kind of suit up it that rides as 1. And it goes along with the theme of flipping and Eldrazi's horrors and stuff, so that's good. I like a lot. I'm going to put aside Elixir of Immortality, maybe just as like a, if Gisela is in my graveyard, but then somebody goes to exile my graveyard before I have a chance to get her back onto the field. Elixir of Immortality can shuffle her back into the deck, so that's something. Cryptolith Fragment goes along with the theme of flipping, and it's ramp, so we're going to do it. Okay, so before we hit my comments, we're going to take a look at my trade binder. It's, guys, this is so embarrassing. This is probably going to be really light right now. Okay, first page has nothing on it. That's great. Maybe Seeker of the Way, I guess. Is it bad that I kind of want to use this card because it's a foil? The answer is yes. Okay, and that was it for white. That was really short. Actually, I have one of these in foil. We are going to include this because our regular commander has vigilance, and the flip version also has vigilance. So Stitcher's Graft is great. The 1-drop equipment for 2, it equips and gives the creature 3/3. If it attacks, it doesn't untap the next turn, which is fine because we have vigilance. And if it becomes unattached, you sacrifice the permanent, which is fine because we're not planning on unequipping it or anything like that. Okay, so now we are doing bulk. Hey, look, an angel. That's exactly on theme. So we're going to just kind of go through here, and I'm going to pull out some notable mentions, and then we'll start paring down our selection of cards. Soul Warden, great include for mono white. When Loyal Sentry blocks a creature, destroy that creature and Loyal Sentry. So Death Touch in white? Yeah, let's do it. Can I put this in a mono white commander deck? Ooh, Herbis Protector. The good art. This one he looks weird. That one he looks like actually he kind of looks like a model. Model? Creepy guy. Model? Creepy guy. So I put aside some more stuff. Got some angels here. One notable mention is Angelic Accord. At the beginning of each end step, if you gained 4 or more life this turn, put a 4/4 white angel creature token with flying onto the battlefield. So it's 4 mana enchantment, gain life, get angels. So what I'm starting to do here too is that there's both a life gain theme, a token theme, and indestructible theme, which you're gonna see play out soon. We've got some removal here. Pillar of Light. Brought back returns things up to 2 target permanent cards in your graveyard that were put there from the battlefield this turn. I've got some board wipes. Dusk, Day of Judgment, Mass Calcify, Faded Retribution, Phyrexian Rebirth. So we have all these cards that destroy creatures. Destroy non-land creatures. Destroy all creatures with greater power. Destroy all creatures. Destroy all creatures and planeswalkers. So if I go with, if I have ways to bring them back, like Faith's Reward, return to the battlefield all permanent cards in your graveyard that were put there from the battlefield this turn. So I can basically wipe the field and bring back my own stuff, or make them indestructible. Things like Make a Stand. Creatures you control get +1 power and gain indestructible until end of turn. Rootborn Defenses. Populate. Creatures you control gain indestructible until end of turn. And as we saw, we have ways of making tokens through that enchantment, through the Herbis Protector. So, got some themes here that we might be able to play out. Eerie Interlude could be a way to get around the board wipes. Exile any number of target creatures you control. Return those cards to the battlefield under their owner's control at the beginning of the next end step. So that lets us play our board wipe, but get around actually losing things. Okay, so I kind of went nuts, and I've got a lot here to work through. This actually, I had a lot more that I wanted to work with than I thought I would. So, a couple of things. I broke this up into categories. Over here we have ramp, things like Soul Ring, Marble Diamond, Gold Mirror, Pilgrim's Eye, things that just have to do, Walking Atlas, things that just have to do with ramping or whatever. Okay, here we have card draw, we have Bygone Bishop, Serum Tank, Seer's Sundial, Lore Seeker's Stone, Diviner's Wand. It's not much, but it's the best I could do with what I have available right now, but it's a start. I think a lot of the card draw is going to come from cantrips and just not so much card draw, but just like value. I have here, this pile is removal. And in the removing artifacts, enchantments, creatures. Some are actually creature-based, And that actually might lead to something. I might have a theme of sacrificing and returning. So that might come back. That might be a big deal. I have here the angels, which actually might not be as important of a category as I thought it was going to be. I'm just going to have some good angels. If it's not, it's going to be like a handful of angels. And that's fine. I have creatures that sacrifice themselves. I have enchantments and artifacts and things that give indestructible. I have board wipes. I have here, this pile might not be that important. Alright, so here's where it gets kind of complicated. I have enchantment matters. So I have aura spells you cast cost 1 less to cast. Which I have a couple of auras here, but maybe that's not going to be a big deal. And then I have cards I care about casting enchantments, so Mesa Enchantress, a Johnny's Chosen. A Johnny's Chosen, not as important. Basically just making 2/2 white cat creature tokens. That probably I could do without. I have some banners here, and of course we have Angelic Accords. We have Honor of the Pure, Force of Virtue, Light from the Within. So I have enchantments. And what I notice a lot, at least in my meta, is that we have a lot of board wipes happening, in our games, but usually they're creature based. If I set up with some nice enchantments, they'll probably stick around. Usually people aren't, gunning for enchantment removal, so that might be something. And then I have here Sram, Sigarda's Aid, Danitha, which also reduce enchantments. So they reduce auras. She reduces auras and equipment spells. He makes me draw whenever I play an aura or equipment spell or vehicle, but we're going to just completely ignore vehicles. I can't. This gives my auras and equipment flash, which actually might be a big deal because I might actually have a lot that I want to do at instant speed in this deck. Man, this deck is just... This was a good example to do for building a deck from scratch, because there's a lot that I can do here. Oh yeah, and then we have equipment. So I've already mentioned equipment with Sram and Danitha, and then I have Aurex Steel Shaper, which reduces equip costs. This might not matter as much. Stonehaven Outfitter, equipped creatures get +1/+1. Whenever an equipped creature you control dies, draw a card. I don't know that that's going to matter either, but Pure Steel Paladin's good. Whenever I play an equipment, I draw a card. My equipment can have equip 0, which can be nice. So what I might end up doing, and then I have my equipment here. I keep interrupting myself. I have just some juicy equipment here. So what I might end up doing, I might do some sort of a hybrid between equipment, auras, enchantments matter, board wipes, angels, and life gain. Okay, there's a lot here. It's a little ambitious, much like my senior project. Heyo! But we'll see if we can make this work. I've done ambitious before, as long as I have reasonable expectations and I do have a good spread of the themes in here, that they're not, stepping on each other's toes, and that I'm not going too far out of my way for any particular card. As long as everything is good on its own, then it should be fine. And then there's just going to be synergies throughout, and I think that could work. But now I have a lot here, and as I've said, I only have 60 slots, and actually, with Gisela, it's really more like 59. Which leads me into my next topic. So, I like to start off with the essentials, like what has to be in the deck. Let me start there, and then I'll work my way in. So I'm going to kind of tidy this up, and then we're going to start to add back cards in the order that I know they need to be in the deck, and then we'll kind of see which direction the deck is kind of pushing, and we'll see what is essential, what is non-essential. Okay, so I tidied it up a little bit, and I also kind of took away some cards, added others, some notable mentions. Let's take a look at Rally of the Ancestors. It's double white and X For an instant, return each creature card with converted mana cost X or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. Exile those creatures at the beginning of the next upkeep. Exile Rally the Ancestors. So you keep it all the way up until your upkeep. So you could do it during your turn and then put together some kind of play, and then you keep it all the way until you get back to your upkeep, or you do it on an opponent's turn and surprise them during combat. But it's going to be cool because we have a couple of tricks here that we're going to be able to take advantage of. For example, if Gisela is in the graveyard and we do Rally the Ancestors, she'll come back, but she'll meld with Bruna if she's out. So we can kind of take advantage of that. So that's a good whatever. Okay. I had Elixir of Immortality because I was worried that if somebody tries hitting my graveyard, well, I use my graveyard a lot, and I don't want to lose Gisela the Broken Blade if she's in the graveyard. But I have a better option. Anytime people are exiling cards from a graveyard, it's usually target player, and so Gilded Light, instant for 2, you gain Shroud until end of turn, and it has cycling too, so I can keep this in my hand if my graveyard's starting to look pretty valuable and I'm worried that someone's going to exile it. And then if nobody does, I can cycle it away, or if it's really early and I do not need this for the protection, I can cycle it away. Great addition, so I'm going to put this aside. That might come in handy. I'd like to start with Angels. So some Angels that I know I'm going to want to have around are Aegis Angel for the Indestructible, Resolute Archangel because, you know, the life gain is intense with that card, especially if it's towards the later game. You put her out, go all the way back up to 40 life. Emiria Shepherd is an incredible card that can bring back cards that we need. Example, Gisela or Bruna or one of our cards that we sacrifice for effect. I think we have to do Sarah Angel just because Angels and it's Sarah. You know, that might actually be it on the Angels that I definitely want to include. It's kind of a short list. I'm going to come back to these, but that's the beauty of this, because we can come and go. Another category I know I need to get from is Thalia's Lancers. This is an absolute must because when it enters the battlefield, we could search for Gisela. So that's a no-brainer. I'm just going to go ahead and add these card draw cards to our selection here because we don't have much, and these are actually pretty good. I like these. Seer's Sundial has landfall. When a land enters the battlefield under your control, you may pay 2. If you do, draw a card. That's awesome. Lore Seeker Stone can draw us 3 cards for 3 mana, or more if we have cards in our hand, but that's fine. So we're going to include these and keep on going. We have our ramp category. We're going to have to be light because I have a lot I have to get in here. I think the ramp is just going to come in the form of just hitting our lands drops, but I'm going to do some notable ones that add a lot of value. So Palladium Mirror, Soul Ring, Kozilek's Channeler, Pilgrim's Eye is great as an early blocker and thins the deck, gets our land drops. I think that might be all I want to include for now, but we can come back to this category. Another category we really need to figure out right now is auras, enchantments, or equipment. Or do we do all 3? I know it's really gonna be tough, but if we stick to just the best of the best, I think we can make it work. So let's start off by putting in Pure Steel Paladin. I know, John, you're gonna hate me. SRAM, Danitha, and Mesa Enchantress. I think that's it for that category there. So now let's look at the auras and equipments and enchantments that we have. Let's just stick to the very, very best. Paradise Mantle is good because it can be ramp. Stitcher's Graft, you get a lot of bang for your buck. Same with Black Blade Reforged. Let's do that. Fire Shrieker, favorite of mine. Grant a creature double strike, so let's do that. Stratascythe, very much like the Black Blade Reforged, so let's get that in there. Rogue's Glove is card draw, so I want to do that. And I think we might leave it at that for now. We can come back to this category. Let's just do Sigil Distinction. You pay X to place it on the field. It comes in with X charge counters. The equipped creature gets +1/+1 for each charge counter, and you equip it by removing a charge counter. But if we have Pure Steel Paladin out, we don't have to do that. We could just equip it for 0. So let's start with enchantments, because we do have Mace Enchantress. We do care about playing them. Not that it's always going to matter. It's 1 in 99, but we're not going to go out of our way for it. Like I said, we're just using cards that are good by themselves, but will synergize what we have here. So Sigil of the New Dawn. Whenever a creature is put into your graveyard from the battlefield, you may pay 1 in the white. If you do, return it to your hand. Amazing. We're going to have so many ways to take advantage of that. Marshal's Anthem. Same kind of deal as Amiria's Shepherd. Bring back creatures to the field. We know we want to have Angelic Accord for the life gain. Make angels. That's great. I think I'm just going to do Sigarda's Aid to give our auras and equipment flash, and when you play an equipment you can immediately attach it. That's great, and we can come back to these. We're going to move on to auras now. So we did our equipment, we did our enchantments, we're going to do our enchant creatures. Some big ones. Flickering Ward is a favorite of mine. When it enters play, you choose a color, the creature gets protection from that color, and you pay a white to return it to the hand. And you can do that at instant speed. So if somebody's going to wipe the board, or cause you to sacrifice all creatures, bounces back to your hand. The other benefit too is that if you have SRAM or Mesa Enchantress out, when you cast this card, you'll draw a card, and then you can return it to hand, and then repeat the process. So it's a little tiny draw engine that we have kind of, tucked in our deck. So I like that. Kindred Boon is an obvious must, so that we can give Indestructible to our angels, which I'm realizing we don't have that many now. Shielded by Faith, easy. And we might leave it at that for now. We can come back to these. Okay, so like I said, we have the ability to bring back creatures, and so let's grab some creatures that actually will sacrifice themselves. So Bounty Agent. So Bounty Agent is a fantastic choice because it can destroy a legendary artifact, creature, or enchantment. So let's get that in there before we forget. Dauntless Bodyguard sacrifices itself to give another creature indestructible. I think that's worth it. Intrepid Hero. I think I'm going to include this card simply because we don't have a lot of ramp or card draw. We're going to depend on just lasting throughout the game in order to get to the late game. We can't force it. Intrepid Hero can slow down our opponents and therefore get us to the late game. Same thing with Loyal Sentry. I guess we'll include that. I think we're gonna have a combo with Keening Apparition with all this stuff that brings back cards. Even though Soltari Visionary can do it once per turn. I don't know, that's weird. Maybe we'll do both. Okay, so we're at 38 cards of our 60 slots. So we only have room for 22 more cards. And that's going to be tight. We still have to hit our Wraths category and our Resurrection category. Let's look at Wraths first because it's technically more essential, I guess. And there's not that many, so let's take a look. And we still have life gain. Okay, 22 cards. Let's do this. I think I like Faded Retribution because it's instant speed, and then it also destroys Planeswalkers. That's pretty handy. Dusk can bring back some of our creatures. Can it bring back enough? Yeah, I can bring back some really good creatures. So I think I'm going to do Dusk to Dawn. Phyrexian Rebirth I've always liked because it wipes the board of creatures and then you make a pretty large creature. So it kind of puts you in a good position. So I think I'm going to do Phyrexian Rebirth. Day of Judgment because it's cheap. Planar Outburst because it can also do the Awakened 4 to make a creature. I think I like that. I have 2 more categories I have to include, and then we can go back over. If we have any slots open, we can continue to add to what we have. So we still need to do our. I guess we don't really need the life gain category, but we do need the resurrection category. So let's start with the resurrection. Some of the big ones. We got Sigil of the New Dawn. We have Marshal's Anthem. We have Amiria's Shepherd. So we have some really good recursion. We have dawn, you know, dusk to dawn. Okay, but let's see what else we could add, so because there's some really good ones. We have some ETB effects, like Thalia's Lancers. I think Eerie Interlude would be good. It also would synergize with our board wipes. For 3 mana, if I have 3 mana on top of my board wipe, I can also remove my creatures so that none of them get caught up in it. So that's part of our plan. As I said, Gilded Light I think is pretty important to protect our graveyard and protect ourselves too. If somebody does something like, you know, target player mills out, no, Gilded Light. So I'm gonna get that in there. It does hurt to have to use a slot on that. But let's see what else we have that's essential. I think Rally the Ancestors this could be a big deal. And as I said, I wanna try to have as much instant speed stuff as I can. Okay, yeah, so these are big. Faith's Reward and Brought Back are turn-based recursion, the turn that it happens. But that's okay. I think I want to do Resurrection just because this can kind of set a couple things off. If, for example, if Emiria Shepherd is in the graveyard, then I could bring her back. And then if I play a Plains, I could bring back, say, Bruna. Bruna is on cast, though, so hers is not an ETB, but I still think Resurrection's good. We're going to leave that there. I think I have enough Indestructible through some of the things we have out here, but if I need more, I can add it from this pile. Let's take a look at our life gain, and then we can go back over some of the categories. So, some essential ones I know I want are Alhammarret's Archive. This is a big deal. Alhammarret's Archive is a 5-mana artifact that says if you would gain life, you gain twice that much life instead. Fantastic for our deck, because we're going to try to do some life gain. And if you would draw a card, except for the first one you draw in each of your draw steps, draw 2 cards instead. We can use all the card draw that can come to us, honestly. So I'm going to put that in. Another one is Aetherflux Reservoir. I'd say that's pretty essential. So what other essential life gain things could we include? One I really wanted was Alabaster Mage. He can give any creature lifelink. I think that'll be important. Crested Sunmare is something that cares about gaining life. At the beginning of each end step, if you gain the life this turn, create a 5/5 white horse creature token. Yeah, I know I said that weird. I think we're going to do Spirit Link because it's life gain that stacks with lifelink. And it's an aura, so it's... Yeah, this is getting a couple categories at once. I think I do mostly want auras and such. Blind Obedience will do because it slows down opponents and it has Extort. Soul Warden, I think I want to include... I'm actually going to do War Report first because instant speed and you gain life equal to the number of creatures on the battlefield plus the number of artifacts on the battlefield. It'll count artifact creatures twice, which I have a couple. Got a decent number of creatures, and this could help us stabilize it in a moment that our opponents think that we're down and out. I think I want to include Lone Rider. It's too on theme, not to. All right. Well, if we're doing life gain, we got to include Johnny's Pride Mate. That's a good one. I think I'm going to do Soul Warden too, just because it can give us multiple little life gain triggers, and I think that'll help us in a couple of ways. Okay, so for our last slot, I think I was going to put in Dispatch because I do like that card, and it could be a nice way to get around certain troublesome creatures. But I think we really need to stick to our synergies, so I'm going to add in Fell the Mighty. Destroy all creatures with power greater than target creature's power. Namely because, like I said, gotta keep with the synergies, and wiping the board is kind of a big part of this deck because I can recover from it better. The other thing too is that Fell the Mighty in a lot of game states will not affect me as much as my opponents. So in general, this is a card that could be very one-sided. So with that, that's the last card in our deck. And I think that does it. I mean, this deck is really ambitious, but I'm kind of excited to use it. Sometimes those decks that are ambitious and are trying to do, you know, kind of a lot are the most fun to use because you never get tired of trying new things with it and seeing what else it could do and pushing the bounds. When you have a deck that is really hyper focused, once you've done the thing and you've executed the strategy that you were trying to, there's really nowhere else for the deck to go. And honestly, at that point, it's when I retire the deck and cannibalize it to help build other decks. But this one, through using it, I might take out one or two avenues. You know, I might not go down the aura path or maybe not the equipment path, but I will get a lot of mileage out of this deck. I think it's got a lot of road ahead of it. So who knows? Maybe this will kind of be an ongoing project with this channel, that I keep coming back to this deck and making edits and using it in games, and we'll see what happens. I'm really excited, and I hope you guys are too. Keep building decks, keep being creative, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching. The red dog is brown. Why?